Kyle and Anna. We have talked a lot about this, about Sabbath and y'all's practice, but now the rest of our people get to hear from y'all, and I'm so excited. But before we start just talking about your practice of Sabbath, why don't y'all tell those listening and watching a little bit about yourselves?
I stay at home with our 3 children, and I homeschool them. We have an almost 8-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. We've been married for 9 years coming up, going to Lifegate for 10.
I work full-time for a small town construction company. So I have a part-time job on the side of reselling shoes, which is a lot of fun.
Okay.
So it's kind of been one of my passions that has grown.
Turned into a gig, I love it.
Yeah.
Even just hearing about your life, 3 small kids, you homeschool them, so that is a full-time job, plus being a mom with them and taking care of home and life and schedules. You working full-time and having this side gig. Just that alone, I'm sure everyone hears, how in the world do y'all Sabbath, right? Like, how does that even happen? So start out by just telling us how long you've been practicing Sabbath and basically, like, kind of what does it look like to y'all?
You know, I think it started out when I was in between jobs.
Okay.
And it wasn't really something that we did very much of, and started with, let's have a spontaneous day. Like, okay, every other day is scheduled.
Yes.
This day we're not going to schedule anything. We're all just going to get in the car and go do something on a whim. And it was really a lot of fun. And then it turned into, okay, let's turn this into a weekly thing.
That was probably the kids that got the kids' interest the most, is because it was almost like a yes day.
Yes,
So we started, and I remember just in like the season of him not having a job and just realizing that even though our lives were totally upside down with schedule and routine, that rhythm of, okay, we're gonna stop today and we're gonna just go do something. And it was like, okay, one person pick where we're gonna go, and then the next person after we do that pick where we're gonna go. So it was like a thrift store, donuts, or having a picnic in the car or something like that. But it was very spontaneous, and I think that got the kids excited.
Wow, so it didn't even start, it started intentionally, it sounded like, but kind of like accidentally intentionally.
Yes.
I love that. You just made space for it. So what would you say has kind of changed since then? So like the spontaneous to like now?
I'm a planner. I love planning. And I also love making lists, and I love making things better. So like once I realized, okay, this is a routine that we are walking through together as a family, and seeing all the encouragement from you on your social media, it encouraged me to take like the next step of, okay, this can be better, and we can change one thing a week. And I just took a page in my journal and was like, okay, these were the things that I love doing, and these were the things that we probably should have done without. But then for the next week, I had a little box, not big enough to put a whole page worth of things to do better, but just enough to do one thing better. One of them was, I was intentional about staying off of social media, which I realized that in taking that rest, that I needed the rest for my mind, not just rest for my soul and my body, but also like that thought pattern, just it needed rest.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What about you, Kyle? What does this look like for you with 2 jobs, basically?
I think it's one of those things where, I mean, I've heard a lot of do something that you delight in.
Yes.
And really, that's where my side gig started was, okay, I enjoy the hunt of thrift stores and finding things that I can flip for a profit, and that has grown into this side business, and now it's just exponentially growing. And so it's finding that thing that doesn't feel like work.
Yes.
So it's that day where it's like, okay, I don't have to do anything work related. I don't have to do chores around the house. I can just enjoy what I'm doing, and I spend hours doing it because it's so much fun.
Right. I love that. I love that y'all have made the distinction of this is work. I do not want this on this day. And this is delight for me. And let's fill our day with that. I love that. Okay, we also know in this phase of life, with jobs, there are challenges that come with Sabbath. What have been some of y'all's challenges with trying to maintain this type of lifestyle?
It's important to carve out the time. Like if your priority is to carve out the time, then you will keep it holy, keep it set apart so that nothing gets in the way of that. And like we've talked about it, like if we get invited to a birthday party or a cookout, and it's like if we know that this is going to be life-giving, then we will allow it to happen on a Sabbath. So
That's great.
we guard it.
Yes.
And I think that that's the most important part, is guarding that day and not just letting anything slip into it.
What changes have you seen in yourself since starting this practice?
I enjoy it more. I look forward to it more.
Yes, I love that.
Working full time at a job that I enjoy, but also knowing that I have to something to look forward to, and whether it being working on the side gig or it's, playing board games with the kids or playing outside with the kids. It's just knowing that that's coming up, and I get excited for that.
I love that.
When we first started, it was rough. Like when you start any habit,
Absolutely.
it's rough.
Right.
And it doesn't look pretty, but you persevere because you know that it's going to be beautiful. Putting in the effort to just get excited about something.
Oh my gosh,
something
I love
that is
that.
going to fill our heart and just fill us with the rest that we need to. You look at the rest of the week differently.
Yeah, you look at the rest of the week differently. What does Sabbath prep look like for y'all? And then what does the day, like what are some little things you look forward to as a family?
Well, I think from what I understand of preparation, a lot of it happens during the week or even on Friday during the day. I happen to not be home, so I kind of miss out on a lot of the preparation, but it is nice to come home to everything's ready to go, and you're just able to go right into Sabbath right after dinner and just enjoy that time.
Yeah. You might not be home, but I'm guessing you have to kind of close off stuff from work and like really wrap up so you can fully rest.
Exactly, yes.
Would you say that's true? Yeah. So you're still prepping in your own way. What about you, Anna?
Well, we get the joy of cleaning the house and getting things ready. And when I made the decision, okay, we're gonna prep for Sabbath and like vacuum the house, and like I know it looks differently for everyone, but for us I have to vacuum our main level of our house, cleaning the dishes and making sure the dishwasher's empty. And then just recently I had the kids, like Parker, our middle, he vacuums the stairs now because he was getting into something while I was doing some of the prep. And I'm like,
happens.
okay, great. You're going to help with this.
Yes.
You can
Get
learn
him
to vacuum the stairs.
Absolutely.
And now
can.
it's his job to do, it's like what he does in the prep for Sabbath is giving them that responsibility. I was like, okay, this is your job to do.
Yes.
Because we're all a team and we all work together. I just remember like, vacuuming everything, picking up all the toys, like when we first started, and then my youngest, who was like 2 at the time, she went through and it was nap time for everyone else and she took out everything.
Of course.
And I'm like,
That's what
why am I
2-year-olds do.
even doing this? Why am I prepping when it's all just gonna get taken out all the time? But then just looking back now, it's like, okay, this is something that a rhythm that we start when they're younger, and it's easier, I feel like, because it's the season that we started in, it's easier when they're younger, and just to train them up and realize that this is what we do and this is how we prepare for it, so then they can take that on with them.
Love that. Families or couples or even maybe individuals who are even hearing this and barely even thinking about starting it, give one nugget to them, or an encouragement or a little tip or something that would help them take one step closer to practicing Sabbath in their life.
Starting small.
Okay.
And it's starting with, even if it's a half an hour of just rest.
Yeah.
And setting everything down and just quiet time.
Yep.
And then it'll grow from there.
Practice. Like, we've had some that were not restful.
Yes.
But we did it anyways, and then we have another week to prepare and do it all over again.
I love it.
And it just, I think just showing up every weekend.
Yep.
Or
and
every
just
week.
seeing it as a practice and not something
Yep.
you even have to do, but you get to do and try it over again.
Yeah.
I love it. So we've asked your kids some questions. Well, I didn't. You guys did. You guys asked your kids some questions and we caught it on video. And so now we're going to share some of their thoughts on Sabbath. And I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
I love about Sabbath, we get to have picnics, do spontaneous things, watch movies, and we can play with toys.
Parker.
Those are my favorite. And play games. We can build stuff with Dad.
How do you rest?
By having fun with Mom and Dad.
Libby, did you want to tell us what your favorite part about Sabbath is? Okay.
My favorite stuff
Just a
about
minute.
my favorite stuff about Sabbath was paint stuff.
Everything that Peyton said?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Y'all, this has been so helpful. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your advice and your journey with Sabbath. We are so thankful to have y'all as a part of Lifegate and to share your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.